Thank you very much, Marina. Organizers had asked us to sort of provide our reflections on the importance and the impact of in-depth, sustained reporting on the rainforest issues. And I want to just use this opportunity to thank you, Marina, and the entire Pulitzer Center for the support that you're providing to media institutions in the Global South and also in the Global North. And so I'm going to focus my remarks on a couple of things that are working in the Congo Basin. I'm going to focus a little bit on the gaps, or sort of the missing opportunities, and then what drives us to do this work every single day. My thoughts and perspectives will mostly be Congo Basin-centric. That's because I'm from there as well. And so there are so many things that are working and working well, and I'll focus just on 3 of them. And then I'll underscore a few gaps while highlighting lessons for the future. And finally, I'll conclude with what drives us to do this job every single day. And so what's working in the Congo Basin? Collaboration across borders. That's working. So there are 3 journalists who did not know themselves about a year ago, one from the Congo Brazzaville, another from the Central African Republic, and one from Cameroon. They decided to jointly put together a collaborative reporting project on the impact of deforestation on indigenous communities in the region. The outcome of their work was published and broadcast not only in their home countries, but in several other countries, particularly in Côte d'Ivoire, Mauritania, Senegal, Mali, and Zimbabwe. As you may all be aware, the Congo Basin may be shared by about 9 countries with heavily guarded borders, but the issues cut across countries and need, obviously, a regional lens in their coverage. With one report, you pretty much have a regional view of the impact of deforestation on the livelihood, lifestyle, culture, economics, and well-being of indigenous communities in these 3 countries. Increasingly, we are seeing this model of partnering on projects across the region, which is a good thing. The approach could help raise greater visibility and awareness on rainforest issues while spreading the benefits across borders in the context of scarce reporting resources. Could this be a future model? I suspect the answer, or your answer, is as good as mine. The second and most important thing that I think is working in the region is the use of data visuals and other innovative reporting techniques. Investigating the business practices of PHC, which is obviously Plantation et Huiliers du Congo, which is a century-old palm oil business in the DRC. Cameroonian-based Mad Lengenga worked together with Gloria Paleres, who is in this room as well, and thanks, Gloria, for doing this work with us. Yerta, as well as the entire Rainforest Investigative Network team in this room, to shine the light on how a local population in a specific area was exposed to tons of toxic waste. But what is key about this specific example here is not the collaborative nature of the investigation, but rather the use of data and interactive visuals and maps to make the issue compelling and easily understandable. The story pulls data from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the FAO. It uses OpenStreetMap, which is a collaborative project, to create a free editable geographical database and other tools such as Flourish to demonstrate the growth of palm oil in the Congo Basin across the last 50 years. While this has not been really mainstreamed in the media in the region as well as in stories, there are a few champions whose work is helping to make this practice, to inspire this practice in the region. Third and most important thing that I think is working in the region is obviously what I consider to be the spillover effect of the Rainforest Journalism Fund. So Jean-Charles Biot, it's a correspondent at the BBC and works for an FM radio station in Yaoundé, Cameroon. He received a grant and participated in the capacity building workshop of the Rainforest Journalism Fund. While most reporters would depend on subsidies to produce stories, Jean-Charles has gone on to undertake several investigations into several issues on the rainforest and broadcast it on global channels. For example, on March 17, 2022, he produced a short radio feature on the effects of logging on the health, livelihoods, and economics of a local community in Bipindi in the south of Cameroon. This story was broadcast on BBC Afrique, a popular program with radio listeners in the Congo Basin. This, in my view, is a success story top among which because here is a reporter using knowledge, skills, and tools he got from a one-off training to continue to conduct key investigative reporting projects and raising awareness and helping to shape public opinion on important issues about the rainforest. So overall, you've heard this week that there have been 39 projects that have been developed since the start of this project, which is great. And in the past 10 years, we've seen a considerable increase in the quantity and quality of environmental stories in the region. This is not only because of this project, but obviously because of other funding that we've had in the past. Reports have focused on varied topics, with a central thread being women, youths, pygmies, indigenous communities, etc., etc. This represents an impressive addition of content, both qualitative and quantitative, to the critical but often underreported issues around the rainforest, which I think is important. By cross-posting these stories and sharing them on social media platforms, their impacts have often reached audiences that might not, that might have never been intended. What we have also seen across these reports is local communities voicing their views, opinions, as well as worries and concerns. While we may not have a comprehensive idea of the impact of these stories, anecdotal evidence points to some positive change. For example, we are told that in a story in the DRC helped the civil society organization to raise an alarm over the indiscriminate logging of redwood in the Lubumbashi area of the DRC. That resulted in government placing a moratorium on the exploitation of redwood. In Burundi, we are also told that the government used a rainforest journalism funded story to relocate people who were settling in a local park. In my view, those are positive outcomes. And so what are the gaps? In my view, it's still impact. As we may rightly celebrate the additional content made possible by the Rainforest Journalism Fund in the last 3 years of operation in the region and the increase of rainforest-related stories in the past decade, there are still too many questions around the issue of impact. The scale and scope of change that is needed to see the fundamental change in the direction of the management of the rainforest of the Congo Basin is not yet happening, in my view. Now, it is not in any way my intention to make those who have invested their lives and taken incredible risks to report on these stories feel bad, not at all. The overall point here is just that the change that we expect is not happening yet. However, this is not unique to the reporting of rainforest issues. Let me say that. The political media, with usually wider audiences and probably clout, have not yet, haven't done better either. And this is primarily down to the politics of the region, which is very unique. Faced with some of the longest-serving dictatorships in the world. Just as an aside, the president of Cameroon, in my country, is 40 years in power. Next door in Equatorial Guinea, he has been in power since 1978. And so this sort of governing arrangement, managing the people's businesses with utmost secrecy, intolerance, and repression, it is pretty hard to be able to locate evidence to sort of hold people accountable, isn't it? So change in this sort of political regime can be painfully slow. This is why we have to be at our creative best to investigate and locate the evidence needed to produce compelling stories that can make a difference in the governance of rainforest issues. Second challenge, I think it's the need for greater collaboration. As much as I'm celebrating, and I think that has happened in the region, it is important for us to say here that it is a paradigm shift in a very significant way, and I applaud that. And by banding together and putting ourselves together, sharing resources, we are increasing our chances of conducting in-depth investigations. But this is not yet happening at a scale and a scope commensurate to the rainforest or the challenges of the rainforest of the Congo Basin. Each one of us in this room, for instance, I suspect you all have a cell phone, and in that cell phone, there is a metal called coltan. Why haven't we investigated exactly the harvesting of this coltan in the Democratic Republic of Congo, as well as the mining of several other minerals, which are oftentimes the cause of a lot of conflict in the region? In the same way as we had yesterday, an NBC reporter getting together with a Filipino journalist to be able to harvest nickel, which is used in Tesla as well as in Toyota cars, we would expect that that's obviously happening in the Congo Basin to sort of investigate issues around coltan and the mining of several other minerals. And here's why it is critical. Most of the conflicts in the east of the DRC and much of the illegal financial flow into those governing and the elites in this country is from multinational companies. This and many other issues around the Congo Basin rainforest suit this collaborative approach to journalism, which is what we're talking about here. Last point, Marina, which is what motivates us to do this job, or doing this. In 2017, while working on another sister development project, volunteering for another sister development project in the Congo Basin, I was invited to strengthen a network of journalists in the Southeast region, of the Democratic Republic of Congo. That trip took me to Lubumbashi, that's the capital of the Haut-Katanga in the DRC. Like everyone else, I did my homework in terms of reading as much as I could to check exactly situations related to security and safety. You will not imagine what I found. On the website of most Western governments, notifications were warning their nationals against traveling to these countries. The few accounts and feedback of people who had traveled there were far from positive. In short, you could see a reinforcement of the usual stereotypes as well as the negative perceptions of countries facing conflict in Africa. But guess what? My experience in the DRC was probably one of the best I've had in my entire career. My first flight landed in Kinshasa, where Afi and I were sitting right here, and thanks, Afi, for always supporting us on this, including Augustine and several others. We met up with journalists in Kinshasa. On day 3, we boarded a flight to Lubumbashi, 5 hours from Kinshasa to Lubumbashi. On arrival, 2 journalists, some, I think they were in their 20s at the time, picked us up at the airport. All excited, they wanted to make sure that they gave us the best reception. Their warmth and welcome eased our fears in a very significant way, I have to say. As a result, my 4 days in Lubumbashi would end up to be some of the best that I'd had. First, we would spend the morning in rooms discussing about the value of data journalism. Then in the evening, we'd spend time in pubs listening to melodic Congolese music. We did not face any security or safety issues. They would share stories about their reporting career involving people in power and their determination to risk and their determination that they had to investigate people who were in power. Let me say here that the local economy in Lubumbashi and in the whole Katanga region revolves around mining. There are disturbing accounts of human rights violations, pollution, corruption involving several companies. But these young reporters spoke of their willingness and their determination to hold these companies to account. Whenever I think back about that trip, their fearlessness, their courage, and their determination, my resolve increases to continue to do this work. And so that's why I've continued to volunteer time on the investigative or the Rainforest Journalism Fund to help evaluate stories, even though my day job is exactly what Marina just talked about. So thanks for listening, and thank you, Marina, for the support that you're providing to journalists in the Global South. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David, for your work.